Hello everyone, I'm Tony Southcott.
And I'm Komette, and welcome to the Gorehound Playground here in Fort Collins, Colorado. This is Booze and Booze, where we pair yummy alcoholic drinks with our reviews of horror movies.
Today we're going to be talking about A Quiet Place, a 2018 horror movie directed by John Krasinski and also starring John Krasinski, along with his wife Emily Blunt.
Now we're going to go to the kitchen where I'm going to teach you this week's alcoholic drink.
Welcome to the kitchen. Today we are going to be making a drink for the movie The Quiet Place. I call it The Distraction. We wanted something that made a lot of noise for this movie because you can't really make noise in it. So we decided to use Pop Rocks. We're really, really excited about it. I've already eaten an entire pack of it and I can't stop. We're going to start off the drink, first of all, by grabbing our shaker and putting 3 ounces of vodka in it. Then we're going to do 6 ounces of pomegranate juice. After that, we are going to get our glass ready by rimming it with the pomegranate juice. And then into the Pop Rocks. And you can already hear it making that distraction noise that we need. We're going to add ice to our shaker. We're going to shake it. We're going to add that to our glass. Oh, so the first one that I opened did the same thing. So that's okay. As Pop Rocks say, you can taste the explosion. Okay, we're going to add some of this Sprite to it. And then I also have pomegranate seeds to add a bit of texture. And there you have the distraction. You can kind of hear it already. Oh yeah, that's really good. And I'm really sticky. That's okay. Now we're gonna go watch the movie and we'll do a review. We'll catch you in a bit.
We just finished up with A Quiet Place, and along with the drinks and everything that we had, that is a really good movie.
I love that movie. I saw it alone in theaters a couple of weeks after it came out, and I was absolutely floored by it.
Yeah, I ended up seeing that one solo, too. It's so hard to get people to go to horror movies sometimes. They're a bunch of babies. It's like, they all think it's going to be just like some slaughter fest, and there's not going to be anything behind it. And for John Krasinski to be able to do this with his first movie and make a horror movie that actually has a lot of heart, a lot of consequences, a lot of stakes, and do so well with it is just awesome.
Also, without over gore and a lot of crappy dialogue to over-explain anything.
Yeah, and it's like the dialogue, you only hear like 4 or 5 instances where they're actually talking to people, not just screaming into the wilderness. Mm-hmm. And whenever you have them signing, it's such an economy of words that it never feels like you're just being overburdened. It never like slows it down too much. Even though it is a very thoughtful movie, it still clocks in at about an hour and 29 minutes or something. So you don't have enough time to get sick of it.
Yeah. And the pacing of the movie, I think, is really well. It doesn't feel like it's not long enough. You don't want it to end because it's just dragging on.
Yeah. I kind of wanted to see her bust out the shotgun again, but I think they decided that it was going to be too samey with them like luring the monsters into the house and just like popping off like the 2 more shotgun blasts. It was going to be the same thing.
Yeah, I like the game. I like the way that it ended.
Yeah, plus you get like a little thing where it goes back to Emily Blunt and Heavy Metal Bitch from Live, Die, Repeat. Mm-hmm. She was awesome in that, and she kind of puts on the same face with that. So I enjoyed that little thing. I know it's not really an homage, but that's what it reminded me of.
I have to applaud each one of the actors in this because conveying emotion without dialogue, I think, is very hard. And each one of these actors nailed it. Even the little kid, when he's just absolutely terrified about making noise.
Yeah, the little boy looks terrified a lot of times in this movie, and I buy it more than most kids. Like, it's a different level than you see from most kid actors. Plus, actually getting a deaf girl, her name is Millicent, I can't remember her last name, to do that and actually give some more authenticity to like this movie, having a deaf kid and the reasons why they're able to communicate so well and probably help survive. That was one of the main things I really liked about it too.
Yeah.
And you saw with like even just she put more emphasis into the way she was talking, like whenever she was just like, just stop and everything. So you could tell that she was super experienced with that and was able to convey her emotions even more with like the normal facial emotes, but also through the way she signed, because everybody else was a little bit softer with their sign language.
Right. It wasn't their main means of communicating in their real life, so it wasn't as believable, but still pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the creatures.
Did you like the creatures? Like I was told the day before I saw this movie, oh, you're gonna love it, except the creatures look like crap. And I completely disagree with that.
I disagree. They're scary. Their teeth are scary. The fact that they come apart was frightening. They're just their whole body structure, how fast they were.
Yeah, the speed is always like a scary thing, because you see the scene where it's just coming through the corn and passes John, and it's just like lightning quick, and there's nothing he can do. He can't get in the way of it. He can't stop that from going towards his family.
Or even the kid at the very beginning.
Yeah.
The second scene in the movie, you just know how fast these creatures are.
Ripped out of his shoes, basically.
Right.
Like, they didn't show that, but the way they take the kid is just so violent and quick. And they really are menacing. They've got like the piranha style jaw and everything, where it's a little bit jutted out, like. And I really like the way the armor plating separated. I'm not sure that it would really help that much with collecting sound, so I'm not sure if that's just done for like rule of cool.
No, think about like if you put a cone up to your ear.
Yeah, I guess it is kind of funneling the sound a little bit.
When they would hear near noises over here, it'd like open up over here and then over there. I think it was very well thought out, and I thought that they were terrifying. And I know that my anxiety level definitely would spike anytime any one of them were around, because they were pretty much indestructible.
Yeah, like that was one of the things that was on the board. It's like, they're armored. What do you do about it? And I'm sure that people in the lead up to this point had killed some of them, like wherever these creatures came from. But it definitely stopped most bullets and things from the outside. It was like a chitinous type of armor, and you had to do the thing where they had to be vulnerable for you to take them out.
I keep on thinking about, like, if I lived in this world, I would try to build a cage, but you can't really cage it, and then set an alarm off in the thing and try to capture or bury it or do something to try to...
Yeah, like you could have had it like you could have stood in front of like a trap door or something and have it just go sprinting. Hope that it doesn't leap at the last second.
Right.
Like, although all you'd have to do is put like a glass barrier between you and it. You wouldn't even have to do glass. It doesn't have to see you. You put like a metal bar barrier and it's going to dive at you. Or
soundproof room. But the thing is that it went through that silo.
Yeah, that's true.
Butter.
With the claws that are kind of set up like a praying mantis style, like those things just ripped through everything. And that really was some of the only gore in the movie, and that was more blood marks on the main eye, on the dad. And... yeah, that's one thing that this movie also proves, is you don't really need the gore to make something really intense. And also, whenever you've got world-ending calamities and giant events, I've always thought that the small stories mattered than the big stories.
Yeah.
So focusing in so granularly on this one family, even though they had neighbors, you could see, like, they could have done the standard thing where you go and your neighbors are causing a bunch of drama, and they did have the old man, but that wasn't like infighting between people or anything like that. That was just grief.
Yeah.
And I liked how singularly focused it was. It wasn't in a bottle. It wasn't like it all took place in one house, but it was such a small localized area despite the entire world having the same problems.
But terrifying for these parents who have to just keep quiet, and if your children cry or get upset and just so happen to make noise, then you're screwed. Like the Emily Blunt's expression when the toy spaceship rocket goes off.
Yeah, she like pretty much fell to her knees because she knew there was nothing
but she
they
couldn't
could
even
do.
make noise.
Yeah. She just like gasped and was so hurt.
I I am a huge fan of this movie, and there is one other thing that I wanted to talk about.
I think it's probably about the score. You were talking about that beforehand.
Music. There is I think two instances where there is music, and it's when she's listening on her iPod.
Yeah, and that's not really a score whenever you're actually listening to music that's happening. And I love that sequence just to show the closeness between the two of them.
Intimate.
Yeah, like very intimate moments. And there's a couple scenes, like when they're at the river, there's a very light underscored.
And at the end.
Yeah, and a little bit at the end. But it's not something that ever got in the way. This movie worked with that silence. Like, whenever I saw this, it was a mostly full theater. You sit there in the dark for 90 minutes with 100 other people being almost completely silent.
That would be eerie.
Yeah, it's just an eerie feeling because you can feel the tension so much more than whenever you've got like the Marvel style score over the top of everything.
Just to mention the intimate moment in between John Krasinski and Emily Blunt is usually horror movies love to be overly sexual. They love to be overly sexual.
Yeah, it's part of the selling points, especially with cheap horror movies.
Yeah, and I think this movie did such a great way to show how intimate that they were. Because she's pregnant, so you know that they're having sex, but they're not needing to show it. But it was just a beautiful moment that kind of spaced the movie well.
Yeah. Well, it was also like in the touches and stuff. Like they're not like you have the very intimate moments where like they're like outwardly saying things, but it's like he's sitting there and he's working and he looks like he's dead tired, and just the way she comes up to him, and that goes back to the whole thing that they're actually husband and wife in real life, and I think that shows a lot. A lot of people said that that's a recipe for divorce in Hollywood, like having the director direct his wife, but I don't think it's nearly as bad as what people said it was, and I thought that he did a fantastic job with her and making sure that everything was kind of on tempo there.
Right.
They just knew how to work together.
And the imagery, and just to go back for a second, they did use gore a little bit, but it was only when she was having her baby.
Yeah. And it was implied gore. Like, seeing the blood, like, leak down towards the bottom of the tub was...
It's menacing.
Yeah, it's more gripping than, well, if you were to show, like, exactly what's happening with the birth thing. Like, I'm sure that would have been good shock value, but I don't think it would have really added anything. Like, this movie uses a lot of... Like, it doesn't even show the death at the end. It's all, like... right up till the last second, and then it pulls it pulls that last punch. But sometimes it's what they don't show you. It's the imagination. It's like, do you need to see the head in a box, or do you just need to be told it's there?
Right. Oh, that's a very good point. I would love to see more of these types of movies.
I would too.
Slow-paced, really methodical and thought out. Not that I dislike slashers, because I mean, what horror movie person doesn't actually love slashers and the monster person slowly coming after you? But I'm loving these movies like this and Mother and Annihilation we were talking about. They're almost more creepy and eerie than right out scary.
Yeah, and like there's always going to be a place for the Paranormal Activity, Saw, like all of those movies, all of the like the more hardcore ones, like the French New Wave, where they show you every bit of violence. Like there's always a place for that. But if you want to see horror movies get more into a general public sort of sense, and a lot of people don't for some reason, you have to make it more thoughtful, more story driven, and more value on the characters. Slasher movies don't put much value on the characters. They put in archetypes, and that leads to like that leads to like what the Cabin in the Woods type movie was making fun of, like where you like it's all like it's a love letter as much as it is a criticism, and we love those things, but sometimes we need something different. Yeah, like there's a reason why to me The Witch was scarier than a lot of movies I've seen, and that was because all of the family had their individual characteristics, their own wants, desires, and needs, and watching those things slowly get stripped away.
And I feel like I dream more about movies like this. I dreamt about Mother. I dreamt about this movie. And I think that is terrifying. If movies are leaking kind of into your real life and into your subconscious and scaring you in your sleep, that's like pretty damn good.
Yeah, because like there's so many movies where like as soon as I walk out of the theater, as soon as I pop out the DVD or whatever, it's like I immediately start forgetting them. Yeah. They're just so not notable that it's just Netflix filler.
Yeah.
And this movie is definitely not that. There's so much effort and heart and just clean writing put into it. And the way that they were able to layer some of the action sequences so that you saw the mother character watching in the basement. You saw, like, whenever they did something in the car, it caused them to go to a different area. And just the way it laced over each other, it was very cinematic, but it was also very well thought out.
You didn't have to... I don't think there was any moments where I was like, wait, what happened?
Yeah, there was no what happened. There was a few questions of, like, what the hell did they break to fill up the entire place with water?
Yeah, there was a few things like that.
Did she not realize that she could have saved her dad with the implant? Like, that sort of stuff. There were definitely some... Like, it's not a movie without flaws. But a lot of that is very forgivable just because of the experience that they did give us.
And for first time directing,
first time.
John Krasinski, I gotta say, amazing.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he even did like shorts before this. I know that this is his first major directorial debut, and like to put something that possibly might get some Oscar nominations, it's pretty intense, like right off the bat. So hopefully he keeps on making movies, like especially because he got to make the movie he wanted to this time, because it wasn't a giant budget thing. Did very well in the box office, so I think they're going to give him some leniency to do what he wants and tell the stories he wants to tell.
We're excited moving forward.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, please let us know what you thought of this movie. Tell us what you disliked, what you liked, some of the plot holes that you saw, and how you would have fixed it. Go ahead and do that.
Yep, and also hit up that subscribe button. And if you guys are really interested, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/humanechoes. And also put some suggestions in the comments for what you guys want to see us review for Booze and Booze.
Yeah. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good one.
Bye.